TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D. Wood, and with me now is the one and only apostate prophet. Has been pointed out by such important figures as Apostate Aladdin that AP is the leading voice of the ex-Muslim community in the world, second to none. There's not even a close second behind him.
Oh,
And so
indeed.
some may call him the apostate king.
Indeed, that's true. That's true. Yes, how you doing, David? What's up?
Was that a Barbie shirt? You have the people who will condemn the October 7th attack and then, call for ceasefire, something like that. Say, okay, we condemn that, but enough's enough over here. But then you have the people who will just straight up, well, who are we to judge how the Palestinians defend themselves against terror? And if they go just slaughter a bunch of people at a concert, what's wrong with that? But then some of these same people will, oh my goodness, I can't believe that someone attacked a concert in Moscow. Where would they get that idea? I was like, well, why couldn't you apply the exact, who are we to judge? Who are we to judge that sort of thing?
Exactly, and if it is okay in one case, or if it is justifiable in one case to commit terrorist attacks and to attack civilians, target civilians directly, and take their lives in such a brutal way, why would it be so unacceptable in another case? If it is justifiable in one case, it should be justifiable in another case as well. The underlying reason behind it is, of course, a different matter to discuss, and then we can have our disagreements on that. But if you're going to argue that under no circumstances should any terrorist organization commit such an attack and kill hundreds or more of civilians at the regular music festival, then yes, we should condemn that. I certainly do. Lots of us do. We condemn it. We say this is barbaric, this is inhuman, this is sick, whether it is ISIS doing it or Hamas. Unfortunately, lots of people are very spineless in this regard and can't do the same.
Yeah, and I would say if you can look at a terrorist attack anywhere else in the world, whether it's Moscow or New York or something like that, London, if you look at a terrorist attack in any of those places and you say, that's horribly evil, just attacking random people like that, horrible, awful, evil, sick, 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 but then it's an attack against Israelis, and you go, it sounds like you got a problem with Jews. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
In other words, if the only group that it's acceptable to do that to just happens to be some group you hate, you might have a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're gonna discuss this attack. We're gonna discuss some insane conspiracy theories. To gather the insane conspiracy theories, I just went to Twitter, went to some of our favorite Muslim accounts. We went to Daniel Hakikatu. We went to Suleiman Ahmed. We went to Dali Hussein, Syrian girl, and nothing would be complete without the Muslim cowboy and Andrew Tate. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We've got the full lineup of the world's leading defenders of child marriage, all gathered up to share their thoughts on the Moscow attack. Dili Hussein, who do you think is behind yesterday's terrorist attack? So he started it. He started it. He started it the day after, but then it continued for a while. And here are the final results. So who do you think is behind yesterday's terrorist attack in Moscow? 42% went with the black flag of ISIS.
I saw this poll on the first day when it was first continuing, and it was
like 90%. It was like 90%. It was like 90%.
Yeah,
Israel.
It was overwhelmingly Israel, and then serious people actually came and took over. That's funny.
And then so he ended up with over 20,000 votes. Yeah, when it was his crowd voting, it was some insane majority saying Israel did it. And now we got the black flag of ISIS won, but only barely. Israel neck and neck with the group that's been doing this for a long time and has claimed responsibility, and they're still neck and neck with the Jews. You guys really not realize what kind of problem you just have with Jews? All right, and here we have Syrian girl. Oh, look at that. She got fact checked. Oopsie. Islamic State have claimed responsibility for the Moscow attack and released photos and live video recordings from the attackers' cell phones. Blaming Ukraine or any other organization is pure speculation.
Most people are doubting that this is ISIS. Most people, including the government, likely are suspecting that this is Ukrainian terrorists.
Notice her reasoning is there's no evidence, right? Here's the evidence that it's Ukraine. It's most people here, and even the government, are thinking that it's not ISIS, it's Ukraine. Oh, okay. Well, if that's what most people are thinking there, according to Syrian girl, because the Russian government, they're not biased against Ukraine, and Syrian girl certainly isn't biased in favor of Russia here. So yeah, we just gotta trust what she says here. Here we go.
The fact that ISIS supposedly just posted on this website that they were responsible does not equal that they were responsible.
She's right that just because ISIS says they did it doesn't mean that they did it. But when ISIS is the one that's releasing the body cam footage of these guys and so on, ISIS comes out and says, yeah, we did it. They start releasing the footage and stuff like that of the attack. And her response is, well, but here on the ground, we know it's Ukraine.
I mean, come on. I mean, how much more obvious can you get that ISIS is the CIA and the Mossad? Or
how much more obvious can you get that ISIS is just the CIA and Mossad? Isn't it amazing? ISIS just attacked Russia, an enemy of the United States. Why would they attack the enemy of the United States unless it's actually the United States? And but keep in mind, she started this off by saying people here don't believe that ISIS is responsible for this. They believe that this is a Ukrainian attack. This is Ukraine. So Ukraine actually did the attacking. ISIS wouldn't attack because, wait a minute, ISIS is the CIA and Mossad. Why wouldn't they attack if it was ISIS? I don't know. I can't even figure it out now. So it was actually Ukraine that did the attacking, but ISIS is CIA and Mossad. So Islam just has nothing to do with any of this ISIS attack, ladies and gentlemen.
The actors that did this, in fact, were not like ISIS, but in fact were, probably traitors working for Ukrainians working for the Americans.
Okay, so it's Ukrainian. Don't leave out Mossad. They're Ukrainians. They're not ISIS. The guys carrying out the attack, screaming Allahu Akbar while slaughtering people. And I don't know if you guys, we're not going to look at the actual video footage here, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm pretty sure that would cause some problems with YouTube. But I mean, the guys were just like slicing away at throats and stuff of people who were on the ground and stuff like that, and blood splattering everywhere. And these guys are Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. But yeah, they're just Ukrainians paid by the United States and Mossad. Gosh.
They go to one speculation, it is debunked, and they're like, oh, then this is this, then it's this, and then it's debunked, and oh no, then it's this. It's like at first they were saying, look at this, these guys don't even look like Muslims, therefore they must be Ukrainians or even Israelis. Then it turns out that they are indeed Muslims, that they are indeed actual Muslims with Muslim backgrounds, and that they are from Tajikistan and other origins. Then it's like, well, okay, well, they were probably just people who were hired to carry out this attack by Israel and Ukraine and this and that. So, that's just how it is. They don't rely on any piece of evidence. They just rely on their speculations and go with whatever has not been fully debunked, according to them.
Mm-hmm. Guys, the huge conspiracy theory can't have more problems than what it is you're trying to explain, right? And so, okay, ISIS attacks concerts for years. Then a concert gets attacked against it's an attack against Russia, who's been crushing ISIS for years. They see the perfect opportunity to launch an attack against Russia. Why? Because Russia is really, really occupied with Ukraine right now. Perfect opportunity to go in there. And your response is, must be Ukrainians pretending to be Islamic preachers recruiting people on Telegram. And then these guys were fleeing to Ukraine. Why? Because Putin said they were. And it's obvious. Once everyone is part of some group that is set against every other group, then cult tactics within the group take over. You don't listen to anything except what theory you're supposed to maintain, which usually involves your enemies being behind everything bad. Mm-hmm. And you can't listen when your enemies respond. They're your enemies. You don't trust them. You only listen to what your group is saying. And that is some danger. And you're going to see a lot more of this, ladies and gentlemen, because messed up things are going to keep happening in the world. And if Jews are your main enemy, guess what? Jews are behind everything. If the U.S. is your main enemy, then the CIA is behind it. If you're on the Russian side, well, Ukraine did it. If you're on the Ukrainian side, the Russians did it. That's just going to be happening over and over and over again. So get used to it.
Because in spite of the claims that ISIS was behind this, it's very clear to people here that Ukraine is somehow implicated.
Despite the claims that ISIS is behind this, Ukraine is implicated. So if it then turns out that ISIS is indeed behind this, and ISIS directly says it was us and we're proud, and it's like, okay, yes, it is ISIS, but ISIS is acting on behalf of Ukraine. All right.
But I mean, it's just, hey, let me give some on-the-scene reporting to keep everyone informed. Oh, by the way, everyone here knows that it's Ukraine.
Not only Ukraine, but the CIA, Mossad.
And not only Ukraine, but the CIA and Mossad. See, those are the big three right there. Those are the big three. That's the trifecta of evil global domination we got.
NATO and friends, including Israel, are not going to stop until the whole world looks like this, because they're gunning for the apocalypse. And no one here believes this is just a singular case of ISIS telling nonsense.
No one there believes it, ladies and gentlemen. No one there believes it, and she has obviously interviewed everyone there. She's obviously interviewed anyone there.
She has advanced the deep intel. It's so funny that she can't publish a single video without just adding something really.
That's what's amazing, right? It can be, look, they're laying out flowers because NATO's like, what? NATO will not stop until everything's been destroyed. That's what NATO's doing. Wait, why is NATO even part of this discussion? Oh, because Russia invaded Ukraine. Durr. Why is Gaza getting bombed, Syrian girl? Oh, because Israel will not stop until the entire world has been bombed. Or it's because of that big invasion. They killed a bunch of people. It's just amazing. Like, someone could do something, and then there's a reaction. Oh, you see the people reacting? That's because they want to destroy the entire world. Russia, my heart goes out to you and the families of the deceased. Yeah. You must have been doing something correct to upset Israel enough to... Wait, what? You must have been doing something correct to upset Israel enough to make them do another false flag. Israel's secret intelligence services at it again. Yeehaw! 656 likes. 156 retweets. Muslim Cowboy, you heard it here, folks. Just watch an uncensored video circulating from the horrible carnage in Russia. I listened to the Arabic and it sounded so bad. Then one of the terrorists got caught by the special forces, and he was crying like the IDF soldiers do when they are being fired at. Totally Jews who did it.
Wow.
You see
so
the
this
reason,
guy's talking about
here?
This guy's talking about people who are not even Arabs speaking Arabic, which apparently sounds bad to him. And his conclusion is it's definitely Jews.
It was the Jews, because the Muslim cowboy, one of the world's leading up and coming defenders of pedophilia, the
Oh,
Muslim cowboy.
by the way, very important thing here. Now, Muslim cowboy, the imbecile, he points out that these terrorists on the videos were crying, and or one of them was crying, and that just reminds me of Jews, because who else cries? Jews. Um, there are some details that are going around that were spread online and also published by Russian media and Russian officials of how Russian security forces treated the suspects, and those that were confirmed to be terrorists. Um, I commented on this earlier and said, if Israel treated Hamas the way Russia treats terrorists, just imagine the outrage. But there were videos going around. One of those includes one of the terrorists having his head is completely full of blood. His face is full of blood. His head is wrapped up, because apparently what they did, and there's also camera footage of it, what they did is to cut off his ears.
Yeah, they Van
and
Gogh'd him. They Vincent Van
and
Gogh'd him.
force fed his ears to the guy during interrogation to
These dudes
find
ain't
out
playing.
more about their background. So this is what they're doing. This is what the Russian security forces are doing to the terrorist. They cut off the guy's ear and forcibly feed it to him to get as much information out of the guy as possible. And then Muslim cowboys are like, the
Look
guy
at
was
him
crying.
He's crying. And you
Muslim
know,
cowboy, if somebody did that to you, I don't know what you would do.
yeah, you've seen these videos when they get the confessions out of the Hamas guys, and he's just sitting in an office in a chair, and he's spilling the beans about everything that he's been doing for Hamas, and they look like they're all messed up and in pain. He's like, yes, so that's when we crossed the border, and it's like, what are you crying about? Is guess what? They just been torturing the crap out of you for days, possibly. And the only way to stop the constant agonizing pain, and it doesn't have to just be like mangling someone. There's all sorts of like psychological methods and so on that you can use to just.
I think Israel mostly does psychological torture.
Yeah, you just don't let them. You don't let them sleep and so on. All kinds of things. Waterboarding. You're not really hurting anyone at all, but that messes you up and so on. Anyway, then the only way you can end this and be our friend is if you just come down here and start talking. And then boy, they start talking. But you see, look, they sound exactly like these other guys that Russia caught. So I guess ISIS is Hamas. Wait a minute, isn't that what Israel's been saying for a while?
And you are bringing a good point. Muslim cowboy here is saying, those IDF soldiers were crying. Have you seen the footage of your Hamas terrorists when they were taken captive and they were letting it all out and saying everything they did? Have you seen how pathetic those guys look?
They look pretty pathetic.
We did bad things, and we shouldn't have done those bad things. And and I personally never really wanted to do those bad things.
Oh, ISIS is back after a 10-year sleep. Must have been tired, I guess. Totally believable. Totally believable. By the way, guess who ISIS really are? Let me guess. The CIA and Mossad. And Ukraine, maybe, Andrew? I don't know. That's what I've been hearing. That's what I've been hearing right now. He did get community noted. ISIS published body cam videos from the attack, proving without doubt that they were in contact with the terrorists. All totally believable. So think about this. He's saying, oh yeah, ISIS had something to do with this. Oh yeah, totally believable. ISIS actually, these guys released the footage, and yeah, it came from ISIS. So, according to U.S. officials, ISIS's new branch, ISIS-K, ISIS's new branch, ISIS-K has been around for a while. According to U.S. officials, ISIS's new branch, ISIS-K, is now primarily interested in destroying Russia, Iran, and Afghanistan. Selecting out these specific countries as targets seems rather bizarre, unless you understand ISIS. One Sunni, one Shia, one Christian. What do these three have in common? Is it just a coincidence that these states are opponents of the U.S. and supporters of Palestine?
ISIS's new branch, ISK, so Islamic State Khorasan. This is not really a new branch.
No,
On the
not. He
contrary,
gets community noted on that.
It has existed for nearly 10 years now.
Hang on. Let's see if the community notes agree with you. Let's check it. Readers added context. Misleading. ISIS-K is the ISIS branch operating out of the Khorasan province. They are not new, Daniel, having been around since at least 2015. One stated goal of ISIS is to target apostate regimes in the Arab world. Their enemies include Lebanese Hezbollah, Al-Qaeda, and Assad. So guess what? Yes, they go after Sunnis. They'll go after Sunnis if they don't side with the caliphate. They'll go after Shias because they regard them as heretics. They'll go after Russian Christians if the Russian Christians are siding and supporting their targets like Assad and Iran. This all makes perfect sense to everyone except Daniel Hakikachu and the Dawagandists and their followers. Daniel Hakikachu, well, he actually responds to the community note.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
See Daniel's response. So there's his response to the community note. Well, they're desperately trying to community note my post, but it makes no sense. How does one stated goal of attacking apostate regimes in the Arab world explain them attacking two non-Arab Muslim countries, Iran, namely the area that they're in?
Wow.
And one Christian one. Try again, Mossad. He says, try again, Mossad. So the community notes are actually, according to Daniel Hakikachu, community notes are controlled by Mossad here, folks. You heard it from Daniel Hakikachu. Wow, everyone has, I don't know how. Gosh, why, if Mossad controls Twitter, I mean, how are they even letting Daniel Hakikachu continue posting? Isn't that weird? Still trying to work out why ISIS doesn't attack Israel. And Daniel says, it's a mystery for the ages, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. He got 10,000 likes. These are the Muslim, 2,000 retweets. It just doesn't make sense why ISIS, who doesn't believe they will be successful in attacking and conquering the world until they eliminate heresy and rebellion and so on from the Muslim community, why aren't they going and fighting Israel? Because they don't believe that Allah will bless them to be successful until they deal with their problems within the Muslim community. Notice, it's the opposite reasoning. It's the opposite reasoning from Daniel Hakikachu and all his fans and all the Dawa guys. They're all obsessed with, hey, things really suck in the Muslim world. Let's blame everyone else and attack everyone else. That's what we'll do. ISIS says, no, if we're not conquering the world, that is a problem with us. We're doing it wrong. We're in disobedience to Allah. If Allah were on our side, we'd be conquering the world right now. He's not on our side. So we need to deal with why Allah is not on our side first. Then we worry about America. Then we worry about Israel. Then we worry about conquering the world. After we deal with the hypocrisy and apostasy in our own community. Again, total opposite from Daniel and the rest of, and so many other in the Dawa community, where things suck bad for us because it's everyone else's fault. Everything is everyone else's fault. For ISIS, no, it's our fault. We deal with our problem first. Yeah, they keep attacking Israel, can't do anything with Israel. And then ISIS is like, why can't you beat Israel? I'll tell you why. Because you're a bunch of apostates and hypocrites, and you don't enforce Sharia, and you don't purify your own community, and so you're never going to be successful. So we're not going that route. And Daniel, we don't get it. It just makes no sense.
It's a mystery for the ages. I have no idea what is happening.
More Daniel Hakikachu. It's such a crazy coincidence that Netanyahu and all the official Israeli outlets have spent 6 months spamming Hamas equals ISIS, and then ISIS wakes up one day and decides to attack Russia in a mass casualty event. And now all those same Israeli accounts have been nonstop spamming proof that ISIS was behind the proof in quotation marks that ISIS was behind the Russian attack. Nothing suspicious about any of this.
Man,
So look,
this is the guy who is the number one apologist to so many imbeciles out there. It is just incredible that this guy is even taken seriously.
this is Dawa, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dawa. All right, one more from Daniel Hakikachu here. It's a long one here. It is not difficult at all to see how Israel benefits from this, like they have benefited from ISIS and Qaeda false flags for the past decade. So Israel's behind all these ISIS and Al Qaeda false flags, ladies and gentlemen. It's Israel. So he probably believes that they were behind 9/11 and all these other attacks and so on. You create animosity in the population against Muslims, thus undermining support. I mean, Daniel, if we took these kinds of conspiracy theories seriously, that Israel is behind all these terrorist groups and Israel is the one that's pulling the strings in order to discredit Muslims and create animosity in the population against Muslims. If I were to believe this, if I were to believe that this is how Israel is dealing with Islam, you would be at the top of the list as an Israeli plant, Daniel. You would be my number one. If I were to say, if anyone on the planet is an Israeli plant because Israel is pulling strings behind the scenes in order to spread mistrust about the Muslim community, I would probably say they're funding and supporting the guy who runs around defending and thinks that the most important thing in the world to defend is child molestation and defend it from the Muslim sources. You are the perfect example of someone I would think this guy's a plant. If I were to say that this is how Israel is spreading a negative view of the Muslim community, you and Ali Dawa and Mohammed Hijab and Sheikh Uthman would be at the top of the list. I don't believe that you guys are faking, but if I were to find out some people in the Dawa community are complete fakes, you, Daniel, would be at the top of the list, way, way higher than ISIS jihadis, as far as people who are inserted by Mossad to make the Muslim community look bad and to spread animosity toward the population of Muslims. You started doing that every bit as effectively as ISIS is.
It was the perfect plant.
But here's what Daniel, the plant Hakikachu, says as he is picking up his shekels from Mossad. It is not difficult at all to see how Israel benefits from this, like they have benefited from ISIS and Al-Qaeda false flags for the past decade. You create animosity in the population against Muslims, thus undermining support for Hamas and other anti-Israel Muslim governments, Iran, Yemen, Hezbollah, in Russian society. There is a reason why official Israeli accounts have spent the past 6 months spamming Hamas equals ISIS. Yes, because this has all been part of the plan. They knew they were going to do this in Moscow. That was part of the plan. Not to mention threatening the world that if you don't support Israel, the scary Muslim terrorists will strike your Western countries next. What an amazing...
Hold on. That is a slogan in Israel that has been going around for a very long time now. That's not anything new. That's not something that started on October 7th. In Israel, actually, the slogan, "The West is next," is something that is known among the common population. That's what they say in Israel. And they have been issuing these warnings forever. That if you let these Islamists hold free reign in their terrorist attacks in Israel, if they were hypothetically done with Israel, they would continue toward the West. That is the general idea. That is nothing new.
No, it's new. Daniel says it. What an amazing coincidence that is exactly what happened. Yeah, isn't it an amazing coincidence that Israel warned people, "Hey, Muslims are going to launch terrorist attack," because it takes Israel to warn people about that. We could have never figured out that
Yeah,
jihadis want to launch terrorist attacks.
I had
It's
no idea.
we just found that out. We just found that out. We
Yeah.
just found that out in the past 6 months that there are Muslims who want to carry out terrorist attacks.
Wait, there are Muslims who want to carry out terrorists.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah, we found that. Yeah. Didn't you learn anything from Israel while you were there? They told you that.
weird, weird. Huh.
What makes absolutely no sense is why a radical Muslim group would choose to target Russia at this
What?
moment.
Why would they target Russia? I don't understand at all.
Why would a radical Muslim group that has been repeatedly crushed by Russia choose to attack Russia at this moment and not Israel, which hasn't been crushing them at all and which has some of the same enemies like Iran, i.e., the
Makes no sense.
country currently engaged in genociding Muslims and threatening to overtake Islam's third holiest site? If the leaders of Gaza are Hamas, and Hamas is on a completely different side, and they refuse to submit to the caliphate, how much does ISIS care about what Israel is doing to Hamas? Not a bit. According to Daniel, ISIS, which has a completely different focus from his focus, ISIS is supposed to say, you know what? We regard Hamas as heretics and apostates for not submitting to the caliphate. And so we're going to go beat up Israel for beating up Hamas, the guys we regard as heretics and apostates who are being defeated, because they are in rebellion against Allah. We want to rush in and help those guys. This is Daniel Hakikachi, ladies and gentlemen.
We want to be Russian.
Instead of militarily attacking them, Israel, these crazy, rationally inscrutable Muslims attack Russia, the group that's been crushing ISIS for years, i.e., one of the main countries that has shown meaningful opposition to Israel in the past months. It all adds up. This is how conspiracy theories work, ladies and gentlemen. You talk to a bunch of morons who don't understand how anything works. They would assume, oh, if ISIS is an Islamic terrorist group, their main focus is going to be Israel, when if you look at what their actual goals are, Israel is an afterthought. You have to deal with other things, other groups, other nations. Then, and only then, will Allah bless you to conquer Israel. So they focus on all the groundwork and then worry about the other things later. Daniel is of the mindset, no, we just have to mindlessly keep attacking the same group that keeps crushing us over and over and over again until all of Gaza is a pile of rubble. And
What's funny is this doesn't even sound smart. It doesn't even sound compelling. I guess it sounds smart to you if you are a complete imbecile and you have the thinking capacity of a goat. But to a normal, intelligent human being, none of this sounds remotely intelligent.
No,
Yet they go with it.
The creepy part is these guys, I mean, you've got a population of 2 billion worldwide to draw on as far as can you find people who are stupid enough to agree with you and then to freak out over Israel. Nope, Israel's definitely behind this. Israel's definitely behind this. You go to a different, nope. Ukraine's definitely behind this. It's clearly Ukraine. Go to a different, CIA. It's definitely the CIA. And then you get oh no, it's CIA and Mossad and Ukraine all working together. What's the one thing it can't possibly be? ISIS, the group that Russia's been fighting. It can't just be ISIS saying, hey, they're focused on Ukraine. Now's our chance to get in there. They're not paying attention to Muslims right now. Let's get in there. Nope, can't be that. But ISIS over here. No, we did it. That was us. No, you're lying. You're lying. Mossad told you to lie. These guys are lunatics, man. Breaking Hamas official statement on Moscow terror attack. We in the Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, condemn in the strongest terms the terrorist attack that targeted civilians in the Russian capital, Moscow, and left dozens dead and wounded. We extend our sincere condolences to the Russian leadership and people and to the families of the victims of this criminal attack and we wish a speedy recovery to the injured, and we express our full solidarity with Russia, its people, and the families of the victims in this tragedy. From the perspective of ISIS jihadis, you just said we side with Russia, its people. We have full solidarity with Russia, the nation that has been crushing ISIS for years. This is what Hamas says about an ISIS attack. They say, hey, ISIS, we are against you. We're actually on the same side with Russia. And in the meantime, you've got Daniel Hakikachu. Well, if ISIS is really behind this, why wouldn't they be helping Hamas against Israel? I don't get it, because we're all on the same side and we all support each other. So it makes no sense why ISIS wouldn't be helping Hamas, who keeps condemning them for their attacks, because this is how things work in Daniel Hakikachu land.
Yeah, it's quite obvious to ISIS. ISIS and Hamas have been at odds for a while because Hamas makes strategic alliances with this specific axis, which consists of Syria, Russia, Iran, and the others. And ISIS is against them. ISIS, you could say, is more loyal to their Islamic ideals than Hamas is, and Hamas basically considers them traitors for their alliances with Russia and Iran and all that.
Yep,
that's what's happening here.
Yeah, that's what's hilarious. It's like ISIS is secretly aligned with the Jews. Like, wait, that's the opposite of ISIS.
Yeah,
that's what everyone else does, tries to form alliances and so on. ISIS is, no, we can't do that sort of thing, because that is why Allah will not bless us. It's only when you depend on Allah alone and you destroy every bit of hypocrisy, apostasy among you, enforce Sharia fully, that's when you will take over the world. And everyone, oh, you see, it's the Jews. The Jews are behind it all.
People are stupid.
Video of the second terrorist of the Moscow attack. Don't do Israel's bidding. So look, he's actually condemning this dude. See, shame on this guy for doing Israel's bidding. This is what you get for doing Israel's bidding, according to Suleiman Ahmed. This guy nuts. He's like insulting this guy and saying, you see, this is what happens to you when you carry out an attack for Israel. Suleiman Ahmed. Another reason you should not be a terrorist for anyone, especially the Israelis. Look at this guy. Get the crap beat out of him. You shouldn't do a terrorist attack for the Israelis, everyone. Suleiman Ahmed. Suleiman Ahmed. Guy who attacks Andrew Tate's victims for him to blame the victims and try to silence them.
What a scumbag.
Yeah, like the worst people in the world become the most popular spokesman for it. Isn't it weird? Like the worst people in the world become the popular spokesman for Islam.
It's almost like right now with Hamas, the worst states, the worst regimes in the world are currently siding with Hamas.
Yeah,
closely.
Neo-Nazis, socialists, everyone.
Yeah. Terrible.
Suleiman says the Taliban condemn the terrorist attack on Moscow. Yeah? You mean the Taliban that ISIS regards as an apostate regime that they want to conquer as well? We condemn in the strongest terms the recent terrorist attack on Moscow and consider it a blatant violation of all human standards. Gosh, when the Taliban are telling you you're too brutal and wrong. Oh, my goodness. That's ISIS for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you know what? But about the thing, by the way, about Hamas's condemnation of ISIS attacking civilians. So far, Hamas still hasn't condemned what happened on October 7th, when a very similar thing happened, when their own people attacked the Nova Music Festival and killed over 360 people. They probably didn't condemn it because they were the ones who did it. So apparently, so they don't care about targeting civilians. When they target civilians, when they target Jews, it's completely justifiable and legitimate. But of course, if they're allies in Russia, if they get attacked by other terrorists who are just like them, then that is, of course, worthy of condemnation.
Yeah. So, guys, think about again as far as Daniel's concerned. It makes no sense for ISIS to not be attacking Israel and to be against Afghanistan. That's a Sunni Muslim country. The Taliban condemns ISIS. ISIS condemns the Taliban. Hamas condemns ISIS. ISIS condemns Hamas. They are not on the same side. We think of them all as terrorists and we think they're all on the same page. They're not. These guys would destroy each other in a heartbeat. Suleiman Ahmed, ISIS threatened Hamas. ISIS threatened Hamas. Yeah, they did. Hamas condemns ISIS. ISIS threatens Hamas. ISIS threatened Hezbollah.
Hamas.
Yes, ISIS is against everyone who does not side with ISIS. This is not rocket science, Suleiman. ISIS threatened Hezbollah. ISIS threatened Assad. Yep, wrong sect of Islam. ISIS threatens Israel's enemies. Explain why. Do you really need us to explain it, Suleiman? Do you really need us to explain that ISIS believes it is the caliphate, Hamas refuses to submit to the caliphate, and therefore, just as Abu Bakr said, if you do not submit to the caliphate, he's coming to kill you and regarding you as an apostate, that's what ISIS is going to do. Do you really not understand why they go after groups that they regard as heretical, like Hezbollah? Do you really need that explained? Are you seriously this insanely stupid? Suleiman. One of life's great mysteries here. And finally, final tweet from Suleiman. Hey, it's ISIS. Nope, it's the CIA and Mossad. Ho ho! Good one. Good one, Suleiman. You're doing a great job. That's
so
right.
original. Whoever said this before? Nobody ever said this.
ISIS spends months, I mean months, planning an attack. They finally carry it out. And Suleiman here, nope, it's actually the CIA and Mossad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, we have gone through some of the most popular conspiracy theories about the attack in Russia. Notice all of them. They all follow the exact same method. They all pretend, or they legitimately just don't know because they're stupid, but they all pretend that, this doesn't make sense here. Why would ISIS be doing that when it's exactly... Anyone who knows anything about ISIS knows is exactly the sort of thing they were doing. But it doesn't make sense that it's ISIS. Therefore, it must be this other thing that just doesn't fit anything and that there's no evidence for. And once you say, oh, it doesn't make sense that ISIS has done this, then it just becomes anyone you want to blame, anyone you don't want to like, anyone you don't like in the world. You just say, again, it could be anything. You could say, oh, so-and-so from Zimbabwe is behind this. How do I know? Well, so-and-so from Zimbabwe, there was a guy from Zimbabwe who took a trip to Russia right before the attack. How's that? How could that? What? Was he carrying a secret message from Zimbabwe to give the orders for the attack? Oh, that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, if you're a moron. If you're a total moron, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be stupid, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be stupid. Become hard targets.
What if I want to be stupid?
Well, then you should become a da'i. Don't be stupid. Become a hard target. Learn how manipulators manipulate people and make sure that you know their tactics better than they do so that you do not fall for them.